Hi, my name's Angus. I'm 11 years old and you're watching Angus Investigates. My guest today is Dr. Debbie Lashbrooke. She has worked as a doctor in the RAF for several years and has a daughter with Rett Syndrome. So my first question for you is, so your daughter Lottie has Rett Syndrome. Can you tell me a bit about her?
Yeah, Lottie's 10, so she's the same age as Liza, your sister, Angus. She was diagnosed with Rett syndrome when she was 5 years old, so quite late on. We'd noticed that things weren't quite right from the time she was about 2, and those years were tricky, really, because we didn't know why things were going in the wrong direction. She's under the centre in London of personalised medicine for Rett syndrome at the moment, and since she's been there, she's really made some significant improvements, which we're hugely grateful for. And she's a really happy little girl. She's brave because life is quite a challenge for her. I think a lot of the time she's in discomfort. But she puts a smile on her face most of the time, so she's a real inspiration to us.
And so I heard you recently won an art challenge for Reverse Rett. Can you tell me a bit about that and why you did it?
Yeah, it's not the thing I normally go in for, and art's definitely not my strength, but I saw this competition just pop up on my phone when I was having a look through some social media. And it was a challenge to design a piece of jewellery with the theme of a sense of freedom. And it was that caught my eye, because it immediately made me think of Lottie, because that's all we want for our loved ones with Rett syndrome. We want to set them free from the challenges of this disease. So I said to Finn, who's Lottie's brother, who you know, don't you, Angus?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and I said, wouldn't it be amazing if someone came up with a design using inspiration from the Reverse Rett logo with a piece of DNA and bird wings for freedom, and you could maybe fashion it into a ring? And Finn said, that's an amazing idea, Mum. You should do it. And I said, but Finn, I can't draw. And he said, well, that's beside the point. You've had the idea. You can't not do it now. So I had no choice, and I put together what I could and entered this design, and with a huge amount of support and voting and sharing from Reverse Rett, we won the competition, which is amazing. So Charlotte Cornelius, who's the jeweler, is going to design and improve this this design that I made for a ring, and hopefully it will make us some money at the gala dinner or the big night in this year.
Oh yeah. So how did you find out about Reverse Rett, and had you ever heard of Rett syndrome because you were a doctor?
Well, yes, I had heard of Rett syndrome, but I think like probably every other doctor, it's something that I recall having learned about in a dusty lecture theatre many years ago when I was a medical student, along with lots of other things that I've never come across and never needed to use. So in my professional career, I've never looked after a patient with Rett syndrome. I've never really had any experience of it at all until Lottie was diagnosed. When she was diagnosed, I think like anyone receiving that diagnosis, we came home and we just wanted to gather as much information as we possibly could. So, we did what everybody else does, and we Googled it. And luckily, one of the first things that I found in my search was the Reverse Rett website. And, you can imagine what a dark time it is when you've just had this diagnosis. But reading about what Reverse Rett do was just this little seed of hope. And it was important then, and it's grown and become even more important now. So yeah, it's been a huge lifeline for us.
What is the impact of Rett syndrome on your family? Because I know it's hard on like all the families. I'm just wondering what it's like for your family.
Yeah, I think it's probably just the same. because we've been living with it for so long, it's hard to think of life without Rett syndrome now. It's just part of who we are and how we go about our lives. I think if Lottie didn't have Rett syndrome, probably Ben, my husband, and I, who's also a doctor, would work more. We're not able to work as much as we'd like to because we need to be there for Lottie. I think we'd probably do more stuff together as a family, like going to the cinema, certain holidays that really are restricted for us because of Lottie. But you know, we feel it's a real challenge to try to make the best of the situation we've got. And if we feel that it's going to be difficult for us to do something, we'll do it anyway. And if we fail, then we fail, but we keep on trying. And in some ways, it's had positive effects on us as a family, because it's been very grounding to have this happen to us. And I think had we not been through it, we maybe wouldn't appreciate some of the smaller things in life as much as we do now.
When you worked for the RAF, did you travel to like any interesting places?
Oh, well, yeah, there's a lot of travel that goes on when you're in the forces. So some of that's within the UK, and we were lucky to see some great parts of the country. I was stationed for most of my career in a helicopter base in Hampshire called RAF Odium, and that was great fun. I really loved working there. And I worked at Brize Norton as well, which is a big air base in Oxfordshire. But I got to deploy in addition to that. So I was deployed to Kosovo, where I looked after the army when they were doing some of their peacekeeping stuff, and also to the Middle East. And I got to work on the helicopters providing the medical support for the servicemen and women out there.
Okay. What was a typical like day like working for the RAF?
Oh, so probably not as exciting as you might think. I was a GP, so most of what we did was pretty similar to what a GP would do in the NHS. So we'd run our clinics. The only difference is that we'd see the servicemen and women, but we'd also see their families as well. So we got to see babies and children. So it was really the life of a GP in uniform. But now and again, we did do some more varied and exciting stuff. There was an awful lot of training that we did. And, you know, as you can imagine, lots of preparation so that we knew what we should be doing if there was an emergency. For example, if an aircraft crashed, we need to know exactly what we were doing and exactly where we needed to go. So there was a lot of practice that went on. And if we weren't busy, sometimes if you were lucky, you might get taken up for a flight wherever you're based. So yeah, it was a great time in my life, and I've got very fond memories of it.
What was the most amazing experience you've had whilst working?
Oh, that's such a hard question, Angus, because I've had so many amazing experiences throughout my career. I feel very lucky to do what I do, and I think as a doctor, you're part of people's lives at the very best times and the very worst times, and that's when you tend to see you know, amazing things happen. I worked for a while at a place called Headley Court, which was where they rehabilitated injured servicemen and women. So I think some of my most amazing experiences were seeing the rehabilitation of patients who came in maybe having lost arms or legs, and then leaving functioning to a level which I think they never expected they would, and to see how resilient people can be is very humbling. So yeah, I think rehabilitation in general, I think is quite an awesome thing when you see it.
I think that's a good place for us to finish. It's been very interesting to talk to you today, and thank you for taking up your time to talk to me as well.
Angus, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye.